What if I told you right now that one innocent comment from you could make a younger woman lose all attraction in seconds, even if she was totally into you 5 minutes earlier? Picture this. You're on a date with her. She's laughing at your jokes, leaning in. The chemistry feels electric. Then you say something like, "Let me explain how the real world works." Or you casually drop how much your car cost. Or you make a nervous joke about being old enough to be her dad. Boom. Her smile fades. She checks her phone. The vibe? Dead.
You think it's your age. She knows it's something deeper. Welcome to the raw psychology of attraction in age gap dating. Younger women aren't turned off by older men because of wrinkles or gray hair. They're wired to crave maturity, stability, and confidence. But they absolutely hate when older men accidentally trigger 3 specific psychological landmines that scream a red flag to their instincts. Today, I'm pulling back the curtain on exactly what those 3 things are, backed by real psychology like self-determination theory, social exchange theory, and attachment research. If you're an older guy chasing real connection with younger women, or if you're a younger woman who's rolled your eyes at these exact behaviors, stick with me. By the end of this, you'll never make these mistakes again. And you'll finally understand why some age gap sparks fly while others crash and burn.
Let's dive in, because once you see these patterns, you can't unsee them. And trust me, the women you date already notice them instantly. The first thing younger women can't stand is when an older man slips into full mentor mode. You know what I'm talking about. That moment you start lecturing, giving unsolicited life advice, or explaining things she already understands perfectly. Back in my day, here's what you need to do with your career. Let me teach you about real relationships. Psychologically, this is deadly. Self-determination theory tells us every human being has 3 core needs: autonomy, competence, and relatedness. When you start teaching or fixing her like she's a project instead of a partner, you're stripping away her sense of competence and autonomy. Suddenly, she doesn't feel like a desirable woman. She feels like a daughter or student. The romantic spark dies because the dynamic shifts from equals to parent-child.
I've heard it from dozens of women in their 20s. He kept explaining basic stuff to me like I was clueless. It wasn't hot. It was condescending. One woman told me about a 48-year-old guy she was excited to meet. First date was great, until he spent 20 minutes schooling her on how to negotiate her salary, even though she's already a successful manager. She said, "I felt invisible." He wasn't seeing me, he was seeing someone who needed saving. Here's the cruel irony. Older men often do this because they genuinely want to help. Life experience is valuable. But younger women today grew up with Google, therapy culture, and independence. They don't want a life coach on a date. They want a man who's curious about their world, who listens like he's learning from them too. The fix? Share your stories as equals. Say, "That reminds me of when I faced something similar," instead of, "Here's what you should do." Ask questions. Tease playfully. Let her teach you about her music, her memes, her hustle. That creates the relatedness they actually crave. But avoiding mentor mode is only step 1. Because even if the conversation stays equal, the second behavior kills attraction faster than anything. Leading with money or status. You know the move. The guy who name drops his job title, flashes the luxury watch, talks about his house, his car, or surprises her with an expensive dinner on date 1 like it's supposed to seal the deal. Or worse, he implies she's lucky to be with someone who can take care of her. Social exchange theory explains exactly why this backfires. In modern dating, women, especially younger independent ones, aren't primarily looking for a provider in the old school sense. They want emotional connection, respect, and genuine desire.
When you lead with resources, your brain is screaming, "I'm compensating for something," usually age or perceived lower value. It turns the relationship into a transaction before it even starts.
She feels like she's being bought, not chosen, and that triggers every instinct she has to pull away. Real talk from women I've spoken to. He took me to this fancy place and kept mentioning prices. I felt gross, like I was on an interview for Sugar Baby instead of a date. Another said the guy spent the whole evening talking about his investments and how he could change her life. She ghosted him that night. I don't want your money. I want to feel wanted for who I am. Psychology research on equity in relationships backs this up hard. When one side feels like they're bringing the resources and the other is just young and pretty, it creates resentment and imbalance. Younger women today have their own careers, ambitions, and options. They want a partner who adds emotional depth, not just a wallet. So what works instead? Show your success quietly through confidence and lifestyle, but never make it the main event. Focus on creating experiences together that feel fun and connected. A walk in the park, a random adventure, deep conversations. Let her discover your world naturally. That's how real attraction builds.
Now here's the third thing that makes younger women shut down completely, and it's the most invisible one: showing age-related insecurity, or pedestalizing her. This shows up in a million subtle ways. Fishing for reassurance. You don't mind the age difference, right? Getting jealous when she mentions friends her age. Overcompensating by trying to act younger than you are, using outdated slang, forcing yourself into her hobbies awkwardly, or posting thirst-trap gym pics with captions begging for validation. Or the opposite, putting her on a pedestal, like she's some flawless goddess who's doing you a favor by existing. Attachment theory lights this up like a Christmas tree. Insecure attachment behaviors, neediness, jealousy, constant reassurance seeking, signal emotional instability. Younger women are especially sensitive to this because they've often dealt with immature guys their own age. They want the calm, grounded confidence that maturity is supposed to bring. When you act insecure about your age, you're proving you don't actually have that emotional maturity.
One woman in her mid-20s told me, the guy was great until he kept saying things like, "You could have any guy your age. Why me?" It made me feel responsible for his self-esteem. I'm not your therapist. Another hated when the older man got weirdly possessive after one date, assuming younger guys were competition. It wasn't protective, it was suffocating. Pedestalizing is just the flip side of the same coin. When you treat her like she's perfect or saving you from being old, you're putting massive pressure on her. She feels objectified and like she has to perform to keep your ego afloat. Attraction dies when she stops feeling like your equal and starts feeling like your emotional crutch. The psychology fix is simple but powerful. Own your age with quiet pride. Don't hide it, don't over-explain it, don't make it the elephant in the room. Walk into every interaction knowing your life experience, your calm energy, and your self-assured masculinity are exactly what many younger women are craving. Be playfully confident, tease her lightly, stay grounded. That masculine stability is magnetic. So let's bring it all together. Younger women don't hate older men. They hate the behaviors that make them feel disrespected, used, or emotionally burdened.
The mentor trap steals their autonomy. The money trap makes everything feel fake. The insecurity trap drains their energy. But when you avoid these three things, when you show up as a curious, confident, emotionally secure man who treats her as a true equal, that's when the real magic of age gap attraction happens. The kind built on mutual desire, respect, and genuine chemistry. I've seen it work beautifully for guys who get this right. They listen more than they teach. They connect emotionally instead of flashing status. They carry themselves with the kind of unshakable confidence that comes from knowing exactly who they are. Now it's your turn.
If you're an older man reading this, which of these 3 have you caught yourself doing? Be honest. Drop it in the comments. If you're a younger woman, what's the biggest turnoff you've experienced from an older guy? Or what actually makes you stay? Tell me your stories. The good, the bad, the cringy. I read every single comment, and I reply to as many as I can. Which one of these 3 hit you the hardest? Was it the mentor trap, the money flex, or the insecurity spiral? Comment your #1 takeaway right now. And if this video opened your eyes or saved you from making the same mistakes, smash that like button. Subscribe for more no BS psychology of dating and attraction, and share it with any guy friend who needs to hear this. Your dating life and the women you connect with will thank you. I'll see you in the next one. Stay confident, stay real, and remember, it's never too late to level up.